Okay, that's just recorded nice. I'm going to hand over to Shireen, who's from the Almacktoon College of Higher Education and has very kindly sponsored the session today.
Hello everyone, and thank you for having me, Sarah. My name is Shireen Mardani and I am the Communications and Student Recruitment Officer at the Almacktoon College of Higher Education. And once again, we're delighted to be sponsoring another of the DACC's webinars today. And today's topic is very relevant to the college as well. So just a bit about the college. We are an independent college based on Blackness Road in Dundee. So it's just 5 minutes around the corner from Dundee University. In the past, the college had been recognised for its specialist subjects, which focused on things like Arabic language, Islamic studies, Middle Eastern studies, and those kind of subject areas. However, over the past few years, we have really expanded our courses, and we now include subjects like business, management and leadership. We've got a partnership in place with Dundee University for Islamic finance. We've just launched 3 new programs in sustainable development, entrepreneurship, and Islamic finance as well. So lots going on, and all of our course information is available on the website if you're interested. Something quite unique about the college is our small class sizes, and we feel that it allows a more personal and one-to-one experience for teaching and learning. So for students who are maybe a little bit anxious about going into larger lecture theatres after leaving school, or maybe just feel that they need a little bit more support, I think that's where our classes really do benefit students. And it just, the personal experience, you know, you get to meet the tutor, meet the teachers, and build that relationship with them as you learn throughout the year. So I think that's something quite special and different to the college in the Almacktoon College in Dundee. We do hold articulation placements or articulation agreements with most of the major universities in Scotland, particularly Abertay and Dundee University, of course, with it being local, which means that the students can come and study, for example, a HNC and a HND with us for 2 years, and then jump into the second year of university of a choice of their preference. So it means that you can, or they can, complete college and a university degree within just a few years. So that's something that a lot of our students for the first time this year are now going on to do. So that's quite exciting for us, and something that we haven't been able to offer up until this year. All of our courses are SQA accredited, and they're available for all. I think back in the day when we were first established in Dundee, we created this identity for us as only being a school that teaches Middle Eastern studies or focuses on those subjects, but it's very much not the case now. We have students from all around the world, and we have students from Dundee, and we have students from Perth and local. It very much is a mixed student body, which is really nice for us. And because we are quite a small college, this year we had roughly around 50 to 70 students. So it is a smaller group, but it also means that they're able to make friends and meet people in a different way to going to a larger university or a larger college as well, which is something quite unique about us. So all of our courses are full-time, part-time and flexible learning. So we're not just for students who have left school and aren't sure about what they're going to do. We also have mature students and professionals joining us just for part-time courses and wanting to upskill and learn a bit more. And as of October, which is when we're hoping to open anyway, we're adopting a hybrid method of teaching, which involves a little bit of face-to-face teaching if possible, but majority will be done online. So we are really trying to make the courses as available to everyone as possible, which is quite good. And this week we're happy to announce that all Dundee and Angus Chamber of Commerce members will get 10% off tuition fees as well. And the college itself, as we are private, we have a number of scholarships available to students as well. So for anyone who's interested in learning a bit more about Al Maktoum, or recommending students who might be looking into college courses, please ask them to join our virtual open day, which is taking place next Wednesday from 12 o'clock to 2 p.m. So it's going to be quite an exciting one for us. It's our first virtual open day, a first virtual open day for many, I'm sure. And yeah, it'll be a chance to meet some of our staff members, talk to our admissions teams, and just get to know a little bit more about the college and the programs and what to expect. Something as well that we just announced the other week is that all full-time students will receive a laptop to support them during their studies and beyond as well. So for anyone who might be struggling during this situation that we're currently in, hopefully this laptop will aid them and allow them to continue with their studies, and that goes for everyone that joins. That's it from me, and I'm going to leave my email address and just a link to the website in the chat box for anyone who's interested. But thank you for having me, and I'm now going to hand over to Hilary, I believe, and thank you very much.
Thank you. That'll be really interesting to see how that goes with your online open days and things, the new normal and finding new ways of doing things. So thank you all very much for attending today. I hope you'll find this quite interesting for those of you that haven't done anything with DYW before, or those of you that have and are looking to do more. I'm just going to have a quick sprint through the background to DYW, and then I'll pass over to our two gentlemen speakers today, who know lots about this, because Jonathan has been doing lots of DYW activity within his business, and Dave does the DYW activity for Brave You, and is on the hunt for lots of employers as well. So if I just set up, hold on a second till I do my share screen. So I'll give you a little bit of background to Developing Young Workforce. We've been around for a few years now, and there are 21 regional groups that are right across Scotland, and Dundee and Angus is one of those. We're employer-led. We have an employer-led board, and at the moment our interim chair is Alison Henderson, who recently took over as our chair. And we're on the lookout for some new board members. So if you get really interested in this, you can speak to us later about joining the board. This was a response from the Scottish Government to drive down youth unemployment. The Wood Report was written about 2014 and had a number of recommendations in it about how to reduce youth unemployment. There was a target set to reduce it to 6%. That was met way ahead of schedule, and everything was going very well. And then, of course, COVID-19 hit, and now youth unemployment is on the rise. It's currently sitting at about 14%, I think, but could rise further. And one of the reasons for that is that young people tend to be hardest hit through COVID-19. They tend to be in the jobs that people are on furloughed, people could be made redundant, lots of hospitality industry, lots of retail industry, that kind of thing. So we've got a bigger role than ever to play now and to drive down that unemployment rate again. And basically what DYW does is give young people education career insights, giving them the skills and knowledge they need to join the workforce. So inspiring them about what jobs are available, mostly in the local area. We do link in with local labour market information to find out where the jobs are, and then go out and tell young people about jobs. This could be in secondary schools, it could be in the college. We're doing more and more with primary schools, people with additional needs, anyone in that youth category, to inspire them about what they can do when they leave education. And giving businesses the opportunity to really drive forward the curriculum so that young people are coming out of school or college with the skills that you need them to have to join the industry. A lot of the times when we're speaking to businesses, they'll say, oh, it's great, but they'll go and do a course at college, but it doesn't actually give them what we need them to do. So the gold standard, if you like, for DYW is that a business can go into a school and really shape the curriculum to suit them. So it's beneficial for you as well, because you then are setting up your workforce of the future. I was going to show a little intro film here, but I'm not going to do that because we don't have much time. I'm just going to skip forward a bit. And I thought the easiest way of demonstrating what we did was just to show you some examples. We host recognition awards every year. It's in June this year. We did it virtually online. And we had lots of nominations from across the area. And I've taken some of these examples from the nominations just to show you the kind of thing that's going on across the area and why it's good and how it helps young people. So this was a partnership that's still ongoing between Glamis Castle and Strathmore Estates and St Paul's Academy in Dundee. And they've been doing lots of work with the young people there. The folk from Glamis and Strathmore have been going into classrooms, talking about travel and tourism, talking about hospitality, talking to geography classes, doing some land-based stuff with them, giving lots of talks, but also getting the young people out to Glamis and onto the Strathmore Estate for experience days across lots of areas: gardening, farmers, forestry, gamekeeping, giving them taster sessions of what they could do if they came and joined the business. And you'll see a picture in the middle there of Des the gardener speaking to a group. St Paul's Academy have a gardening club, and Strathmore Estate has been helping the gardening club, giving them some help and advice and some bits and pieces to help them and inspire people about careers in gardening. And one thing that I think is really important about this relationship is the site visit for pupils on alternative timetables. Now that's pupils that aren't going to be sitting their Nat 5s. And there's a whole, especially around May time when everyone else is sitting their exams, we try and find activities for these young people to do when they're not going to be sitting exams. And they tend to be the people that are at most risk of disengaging with education. So it's really important that we try and inspire them. They're the ones that are going to be leaving at the end of S4. They're the ones that we really have to find jobs for. They're not so likely to be going into further education. So they've done a lot of work with them as well, alternative timetable people, giving them tours to the castle, telling them about jobs in tourism, and just try to give them that little bit of inspiration. This is another example with Forbes of Kingenny and Monifieth High School. And there's some really good examples here of what I mean about this gold standard DYW influence in relationships with schools. General manager at Forbes of Kingenny goes into the schools and offers guidance on a strategic approach to help fill in gaps in the labour market. So he will say, we really struggle to get chefs, say, and then he'll give the school advice on what the young people need to do to get that experience to go in to become a chef in the future, and then that can be transferred into what's going on in the classroom. Their chef has been into school to visit and give a masterclass. They've offered greenkeeping apprenticeships through the golf part of it. They've hosted a career event on site that shows all the breadth of jobs available at Forbes Kingenny and the careers that are available at young people. Oh, I've gone forward a bit there, sorry. Things popping up on the screen. The picture there is the Barista Work Experience programme. There's quite a few of these across the area, teaching young people how to be baristas, and that's really useful for them. And I think this is an interesting thing as well. The general manager from Forbes Kingenny was part of the school captain interview team. So it's not all about specific careers. It can be about the soft skills as well. So what we do sometimes is set up mock interview sessions or CV checking sessions and things like that. So to be part of that school captain interview team, yes, it helps appoint a school captain, but everyone that went up for those interviews is getting an interview of the style you would get if you're actually going for a job, which I think is really useful. And the prefect training as well. Some of the other projects we've done, the most important thing to them is doing presentation training. So we can offer that as well. If somebody's doing a project, we'll say this is how you present it, because that's where the young people tend to fall down a little bit, is presenting, and especially in front of people that maybe don't know so well. It's not their own teacher. And this is a specific example between Dawnfresh and Arbroath Academy, of a project that's been running for a few years now. Unfortunately, because of COVID, it got cut short this year. But this is Project Barracuda, and it's with the S3 home economics classes. And basically, Dawnfresh come in and set a challenge to the class to say, develop a new fish product. So they do that in home economics, cooking the fish. A side benefit of this, if you like, is getting more young people eating fish, because they get to try everything. But it's the project as a whole teaches you much more than just cooking, because they have to think about how it's going to be packaged to do a packaging masterclass, how you're going to price it, how you're going to promote it. And I mentioned their presentation skills session and how you're going to sell this to the judges. And at the end, there is a Dragon's Den style judging, and the winners get to visit the factory, and in the demo kitchen there, they make their product and they get to try it, and they get a tour of the site there as well. That's a really interesting model, and that's the kind of thing we'd really like to try and get businesses involved in, are these projects where the business is coming into school, the school's going into the business, they can be in different curriculum areas, maybe not just one, you know, this is home economics, but it transfers into business studies and all sorts of things like that, accounting, whatever it is, that a business can help across all different curriculum areas, and that's a really good example of that. So I want to specifically mention foundation apprenticeships. This is one thing we're working on at the moment with Dundee and Angus College. If you're not aware of what an FA is, it's generally completed over 2 years. There are some one-year frameworks, but it's generally over 2 years, S5 and S6. Young people come out of it with an equivalent of at least one higher at A grade. It gets a bit complicated about how that goes with different universities and depending on what course you're joining, but as a general rule, it's a higher at A grade. And there's a work placement element in the second year. So how it works is, if somebody's doing an FA, they'll go to college, they'll sit at school and do all their usual subjects at school. But then for their FA, they will go to college either 1 day or 2 afternoons a week. And then in the second year, for that 1 day or 2 afternoons, they will have a work placement. So it's actually getting them out and getting them used to the world of work. I'm a big fan of these foundation apprenticeships. I think they're named wrongly because it doesn't sound, it doesn't give it the gravitas that it deserves, basically. But it gets people out into the workplace before they've left school. And I think this is incredibly valuable. So we help the college find placements for these foundation apprenticeships. And at the moment, we're currently seeking placements. Obviously, it's really difficult because of COVID. And I think SDS, who organises the foundation apprenticeships, is looking at the framework and seeing how else they can deliver it. But at the moment, we are looking for placements for students for business, accounting, creative and digital. What business doesn't want help with their social media, really? Software, network development. If you can help with any of these and have a young person in your business for one equivalent of 1 day a week, please get in touch and let us know. So I'm going to stop blethering on and I'm going to let you see a little film. We put this together for our recognition event last year, and it shows some of the businesses that have been involved, some of the young people that have been involved, and some of the teachers that have been involved telling their story, and they can probably tell it a lot better than I can. So this should work if I just press this and have a look at this.
Hilary, that sound's not coming through.
Yeah, we could hear it fine when we tested it.
Yeah.
That's Sod's Law, isn't it?
Just pausing it there. Can you not hear that?
No.
No.
That's strange. That worked when we tested it. See?
Yeah. Hilary, if you want to share the link with me, I can share it on when I send out other stuff after the session.
I will do, yes, because it's on our website. So yeah, we'll just share the link with you. See, that just makes my bit even shorter now. That's a pity, but yeah, we'll share that with everyone later on. So if you are interested in getting involved, obviously in the workshop element later on in this session, we can all have a chat about this, about what you could do, throw about some ideas about what you could do and how you could get involved. Also, when we send out the survey, you'll have a chance there to add in if you want somebody to contact you to have a chat. But there's my email address if you want to contact me. Visit dyw.scot for more ideas and inspiration. One of the things that's happened during lockdown is that all the regional groups are working much closer together now as a unit. We used to very much work as 21 silos across Scotland, and now we're all working very much together. And one of the things we've done is completely relaunch the DYW national website. And on there are lots of resources for young people, their parents, their teachers to go and tap into. You know, anything, any online virtual activities that we've found, especially at the moment for school leavers, which is our focus point at the moment. Everything's gone on there. There's also an inspiration station, and there's lots of case studies on there, a bit like the ones that I've shown in this short presentation, about what other people have done, because there's no point in reinventing the wheel. If you see something that somebody else has done and you think it would work, go with the same model. It's so easy to do that. So go on the website and have a look. You can post an offer on Marketplace. I haven't really said anything about Marketplace. If you are interested, we can tell you more about that. It's an online portal where businesses can go on and make an offer and teachers go and have a look. So it could be, say, a site visit and say, you know, in the month of April on these dates, we can have 15 pupils at a time come and visit our office, our premises. And then teachers can go onto Marketplace, see that offer and book places directly with you. So again, we're overhauling that system at the moment just to make it a little bit more user friendly. But you can go on there and we can give you full training. It's quite self-explanatory if you go and have a look, but we can give you training and help you get offers on there if that's what you would like. I've mentioned our employer guide. We'll put that out with the survey so you can have a look at that, and that shows all different ways of getting involved with us. And I had a look through the list. I don't know if everyone that on this list has been able to join us this morning, but other people on this session that you'll get to chat to in the workshop sessions can help you as well. I don't know if Dawn Forrester's with us, but Dawn Forrester at DC Thompson's runs a mentoring program called Career Ready. So if you're interested in mentoring a young person, I can put you in touch with Dawn. I know that both the work experience coordinators from Angus Council and Dundee City Council, Anne-Marie and Mark, are both in the session this morning, and they try and set up work experience sessions for all pupils in senior phase at school, in S4, S5 at school. So if you're interested in taking somebody on work experience, we can link you in with them. I know the Angus Council Skills team were hoping to be here today, but they're not allowed to use Zoom. But they help young people who have already left school. And the 16 plus team sits within councils as well. So, and sometimes host academies in different subjects like hospitality to get folk used to the world of work. Ailsa, who's a familiar face to us from Dundee University Employer Engagement Team, she used to be DYW team. She's with us this morning and she does a very similar thing but for the university. And obviously, if you do work in other areas, I know that Leslie from DYW Perth and Kinross was hoping to join us this morning. I don't know if she's been able to, but you know, if you do have offices in Perth and Kinross, Fife, Aberdeenshire, wherever it is, we can link you in with people from those areas as well. So I think I'll stop there and I'll pass on to the people that are really doing all the good work for us. Now I think Jonathan was going to be going next, but I think he's got some issues with the alarm going off in his building. They're doing some fire alarm testing. So I think I'll stop sharing my screen and we can pass on to Dave Suter, who's the DYW coordinator for Braveview Academy, and he'll tell you about what's been going on with him and also another exciting project that he's involved in.
Well, good morning. It's weird sitting here and you don't know who's out there, but if you're out there in the ether, good morning and thanks for coming along. I'm going to talk about two different things, one of which is Braveview Academy and some of the experiences we've had around DYW, and the other is a new venture which officially launches tomorrow called Alexander's Community Development, of which I've got some involvement. But I'll start with Braveview, and I promise you I'm going to go through this as quickly as I can because the last thing you want is death by PowerPoint. So to give you an indication of Braveview Academy, we are based in northeast of Dundee, and we serve our two main catchment areas rank really quite highly on the Scottish Index of Multiple Deprivation. We have in excess of 30% of our pupils entitled to a free school meal and uniform grant. And attainment is always an issue with Braveview. Now, I appreciate the fact that schools are judged on results. I suppose we're in a results business, but my view has always been and speaking from my own experience at school, is that to me is not the primary driver. The primary driver is about how we prepare for young people for life after school. So although we tend to get a bit of a difficult time over attainment, that doesn't mean to say that the people that we see through our doors are not talented, not able. They may lack some aspiration, they may lack some resilience, and they may lack some self-confidence, but they're as able as anybody else in the city. It's how we develop that with them. So that's why developing the young workforce is particularly important to me. We have low numbers of people who traditionally go to university. We do have some. We do have a number, and it has increased, taking a bit of a dip again. Most of our young people see either college or the world of work as a preferred destination. The difficulty for that is that's where I mentioned already about a lack of aspiration. Not every, and I don't want to be disparaging of anybody, but surely not every girl that comes through Braveview Academy needs to be thinking about beauty or hairdressing, and not every boy needs to be thinking about plumbing and electrical, although that is something that is important to us. It's broadening their experience, it's broadening their skill set, and it's engaging them with people like yourself that's going to help us drive. It will drive up attainment, but it will certainly make a big difference in terms of positive destinations and what have you, because we have a lot of young people who go to college and unfortunately drop out because they're ill equipped to cope with it. They go there because they think that's what they should be doing, and it's just an extension of formal education, and they struggle with that. We have a number of pupils with additional support needs, quite a significant number. So that can range from dyslexia through to anxiety and all stops in between. So we are well known for our nurturing approach in the school, and that's a particular strength of the school. So we always bear that in mind, but one of the key things for us is mentoring. It's getting to know the young person, and if anybody is involved with DYW and is involved with the school, I would encourage you to take the time to get to know the young people that you're working with. It will make a huge difference to you, and it'll make a massive difference to them. A lot of kids that we have don't have that support network at home. Parents themselves don't engage with the school particularly. We have issues around parents' evening, getting numbers through the door. They may have had a rather poor experience themselves of education. There may be long-term unemployment in the family. They may come from families where nobody's been to university, nobody's been at higher education of any sort, where the parents and grandparents primarily are in low-paid, low-skilled jobs. Can we move on to the next slide? I don't know if you're seeing it down there. I'm still on the first slide. I could skip that one as well. I don't know why that's in there. What I would like to talk about is the very successful partnership we had with Michelin, because this will touch on a number of things that I think are important. Important things for young people and schools and employers. So for a long time, we had a very, very successful employment partnership with Michelin, who were absolutely wonderful. Now, given their size and given their scale, they were able to offer us quite a lot. But two things happened that upset our particular apple cart, and we basically ran into a brick wall. The first was in August 2017 when we had a school fire. Quite a substantial school fire, which meant that we were decanted to two other schools across the city, and everything, including DYW, went on hold. We tried our best to keep some things going, but essentially it ground to a halt. Shortly after that, we got the announcement that the Michelin tire factory was to close. As you can understand and appreciate, their energies were then diverted elsewhere, and we did hit that proverbial brick wall, and we've struggled to replicate that. I'm not saying that we can look for an employer of that size, and I'm not saying we can look for an employer that can offer us everything that Michelin had, but there are people out there that can replicate some of the elements that we had. But the Michelin model saw a number of young people go every week for work experience in various departments in Michelin. We had a mentoring program where Michelin staff trained as mentors and mentored some of our younger pupils, our most vulnerable pupils, in literacy and numeracy. Michelin offered us a couple of apprenticeships every year, and they were very, very supportive of departments in school. They supported our modern languages department and science departments in particular, and they even funded some activities that we put on. So for a school like ours, it's been a massive, massive blow that we no longer have that partnership. But we have to move on, and we have to make changes. Hilary touched on something earlier, which is quite relevant. What I'm in the process of doing, and I hope there are people out here who would like to come and join us on this particular journey, I am in the process of putting together I hate to use the word working group, but I'll use it, of employers and the school, because I think that schools are often, rather than saying this is what we want, or this is what we need, sometimes we should look to the other end of the telescope and actually think about what employers and businesses need. So what I'm doing is putting together a group to look at our curriculum, to look at how we can change our curriculum, make it more appropriate, make it more individual, what NPAs we can use, and how we timetable things such as work experience or other opportunities for our young people. But we want employers to be a driving force in that, because that is going to help us as a school, but I would argue that it's going to help businesses too. So if anybody is interested in joining us on that, please get in touch. One of the first things that we're like, apart from looking at our timetable and our curricular offering, I want to put departments in schools and individual teachers in touch with businesses. That's one of the first things I want to do. I want to have a network event where we can explore opportunities, and then I want to resurrect an employer's marketplace, which I've run in the past for our young people. So those are two immediate things that I want to do, but it's going to go way, way beyond that, because I really, really think it's important in business have an input into our curricular offering and what we are doing in schools, because a one-size-fits-all doesn't work. And I'm sure there are things that we could be doing that are more relevant to the world of work now than what we're currently doing. And let's face it, like everybody else, we can get stuck in a rut because we're driven by attainment. Well, I want to look at a different way of working. I want a much more collegiate and collaborative approach. So please get in touch if you're interested. I'll move on to the next slide. Some of the things that we've done recently, we've done a lot around STEM, particularly for girls, everything from marine STEM to the RAF, visits to Technic FMC down in Dunfermline. We've had engineering workshops. We've done quite a lot around STEM. University of Dundee, we're starting a project at the University of Dundee for girls around engineering, civil engineering, but unfortunately COVID struck. We were looking at starting something with Malmaison, which I'm hopeful will resurrect. Again, COVID struck. We've run employability, an SD employability course for all of our third years. That ran last year. My understanding is that is not on the timetable for this year, so that's why it's important that I get employers into it to help us look at these kinds of things. Ran an S4 employability, again, it's something that Hilary touched on. Ran it for National 4-only pupils, in other words, the pupils not entitled to study leave. Initially, I ran it with Discover Work in Dundee for Braveview only. It then expanded, and we've run it with other schools. And the update I've had on the last cohort we did, which was last year, is all of them 100% positive destinations. So it makes quite a difference. We've done a lot around CVs, meeting employers to get some work experience and so on. Other things that we do is reaching out to partners. I'm in the process of doing that. I've had conversations with a number of employers of late, and I've got a few more lined up because I want to explore every possible opportunity for our young people and for our school. I'll move on to the next one. I've already mentioned about work experience, timetable opportunities, and I know there are people out there who are maybe not going to like what I'm going to say, but from my own experience over a number of years, 20 years at Braveview, the work experience that the kids go out on 1 week doesn't work for Braveview. It just doesn't. We have an awful lot of kids that go because they want a week out of school, or they find themselves going into work experience that's of no importance to them. They'll maybe stick it for a day or two and drop out. So we need a much more targeted approach to the work experience that we're going to offer. We can timetable it, and we can look at, I'm not saying we don't take up that offer of that 1 week in August that we have, or those 2 weeks in August that we currently have. Of course we will. but we need to go over and above that and look at other long-term sustainable work experience opportunities for our kids. I'd be interested to explore placements out with the school day, whether that's after school, whether it's in school holidays, whether that's some kind of internship. That's something that I think you haven't paid enough attention to, and I'd like to. We need to ensure we have a direct link between the pupil pathways in the world of work. So if we can get employer input into what we do in school, that will help shape our timetable. That in turn will ensure that young people are making the correct choices, because we track pupils and we know where their interests lie, but we need to make sure that we're giving them the correct offering in school, things that are relevant to what they want to do. I would like, we need to develop a school and partners to support young people after placement. Schools are littered with one-offs, schools are littered with little initiatives, but where's the impact and where's the follow-up? So that's something that I'm keen to explore. I want to resurrect the mentoring, one-to-one support with employer support. That is extremely helpful to us and been very, very successful, and it's very rewarding. The people at Michelin that came in and did that before for us turned up week in, week out without fail and got an awful lot out of it, and they built up relations with young people and it brought them on. And we need to promote resilience, confidence and aspiration in our young people. I'm reminded of what Les Taylor famously says, most people in life don't fail because they aimed high and missed. Most people fail because they didn't aim at all and hit. And a lot of our kids don't aim at all. And we need to change that mindset. I'll move on again. So what do we need? We need support and promotion of STEM, trades, enterprise, hospitality and arts. We need a broad spectrum of opportunities for our young people. As I said, we've done a lot of stuff around STEM, but we've got a significant number of young people that we're missing out on because we've not been in a position since what's happened has happened. We've lost that ability to offer stuff to a significant number of our young people. We need to address that. I've mentioned already about the work experience, and again, I've already talked about how employer support will help us embed individual pupil curriculum. So I've kind of touched on that already. So again, I'll move on. We need to inform pupils about industry sectors, employment and career possibilities. Manufacturing Dundee is dead. It's gone. But renewables are on the increase. Trades, there's a massive shortage in trades, for example. So we need to make young people aware of them, and we need to give them opportunities, and we need to work with people to help us with that. And most importantly, we need to understand about employer expectations and skill shortages. I talked about running an employer's marketplace again. That's very, very helpful for us, where kids go around in small groups, speak to employers about not only their organisation, but what's their recruitment process like? What is it they're looking for in young people? Why do soft skills matter? Why is it important that you attend school every day? Why is it important that you turn up on time? All these kinds of things. And I really need to do something around challenging stereotypes. Things like boys into care. It's great that we're doing a lot of stuff for girls, but what are we doing for boys? So we need to do that, and I've kind of mentioned the stuff at the bottom already. So that's a whistle-stop tour of Brave You. Please get in touch with me about any of that, and I'm looking forward to the workshop, and I can expand on it further. But I thought it would be useful if I just gave you an indication of the kind of thing that we've been doing in school, rather than focus on individual and what we've been doing with individual employers. Just give you a general feel for it. I want to talk to you now very, very briefly about something called Alexander's Community Development. As I say, we officially launch tomorrow. So it's a not-for-profit charity based in the heart of Dundee. We are going to be building a purpose-built training centre, roughly it costs about £500 million on our, sorry, £500,000 £500,000 on our current site in Dundee. In terms of schools, we're bringing to all schools across Dundee, Angus and Perth an opportunity called Transition to Trade. We've had a number of conversations with schools, organisations like Discover Work, SDS. We've spoken with DYW in Dundee and Angus and Perth. We've spoken to head teachers, guidance teachers, and a number of others. We'll move on to the next one. We are going to take pupils out of school 6 weeks full time to work on a community build projects. Pilot runs in October. You'll not be surprised to hear it's for Braveview Academy, but we're going to take 15 kids out of school 6 weeks full time. It's a wraparound package, everything from growth mindset and I coach through to completing a design and build project. IOS qualifications included, NAT4 SQA qualification in preparation for construction skills is included in there as well. The first community project is going to be a total repaint of the North End Football Club. Now that in itself doesn't sound particularly exciting, but if I said to the young people are going to have to plan that project, they're going to have to implement it, they're going to work with painters, joiners, plasterers, bricklayers, and potentially with glaziers, then it's a huge opportunity for these kids. To put one pupil through, it costs £800. We had hoped to offer this free to schools, but because of our funding model and the need to generate income, we're not going to be able to do that. So we are going to be asking schools to contribute from their PEF funding towards that. We'd look to fund that 50-50. There are a number of sponsorship options available to businesses that may help us in terms of how that looks for schools. This is a game changer for Dundee and beyond, an absolute game changer. We've got Job Centre, Remploy and Helm and others coming on. There's also going to be another one called Trades for All. I appreciate we're running out of time, so I'll talk about this later to anybody. Trades for All is essentially where we take retired tradesmen or tradesmen with mental health or other issues, bring them back, and they work with individuals, community to provide labour for free to help, say, clients refer to us through social work. Okay, I'm going to stop because I know you're running out of time.
Okay, can we hand over now to Jonathan, who'll give us the employer's view?
Yep, no problem. I'll just share my screen. Hi there, I'm Jonathan Reeve. I'm an architect for Voigt Architects in Arbroath. According to a lot of adults and children, including my daughter, that means that I colour in for a living, but that's sometimes true, so I do get to colour in sometimes. But yeah, I just want to touch very quickly on what we do as a company and some of our kind of recent efforts. So I'll flick through this. We're always better at looking at pictures than listening to me, so hopefully this will help. So I work for a small company in Arbroath. We do lots of different work. One of the things that I really like about my work is the variety of work that we do. So we've worked on really small projects to huge, big projects. So, but just when I was flicking through these and sharing some images, I thought if you ever want to inspire anyone or anything, you've got to enjoy what you do and actually be passionate about it. So I feel really lucky that I love my job. The biggest thing for me is the variety and the wonderful projects that we get to work on. So that's kind of my inspiration, and that's something that I hope to pass on. But the key question that we were kind of asked in the topic of today, like how can we inspire the next generation? So I'm thinking that about how can we personally as a company, but maybe to encourage other companies out there, like how can we as in an industry. So this is maybe from the employer's perspective. And like I said, we're a very small business, but a lot of these points will relate just as well to much bigger businesses. So, so for me, this was a strange maybe slide to put up, but for me, my first inspiration at a really young age was Lego. I love it. My kids are now both obsessed about Lego, so I've maybe passed that on, but it was just really to remind people that inspiration about a future career can start at a very young age. We often think that sometimes it's only secondary school pupils that we want to try and talk to about potential careers. But really that an interest in a career or a trade or anything can start at a very young age. I'm sure we can all remember what we wanted to be back when we were 5, 6 or 7, and that might have turned out the same or it might be different. But I also remember when I was growing up, someone told me this, and it's always stuck with me, and it's always something that I pass on to pupils and schools and work experience pupils. But it's this quote that find something you enjoy doing, then get someone to pay you for doing it. So that could mean anything. That could mean being an architect, an engineer. That could mean skateboarding for a living. It doesn't really matter, but find something you enjoy. There's no point in pursuing something if you're not going to enjoy it. So that's the key for me. But I just wanted to touch very quickly on some of the things that we've done recently. So there was 5 things. I'll just touch on these very, very quickly, and then we can break into the workshops. But the 5 things I wanted to speak about was our work experience program, a link with Moneyfeith High School, the school careers events, talks to local schools, and one of my latest obsessions has been the superhero house that some of you might have heard about. But really, we'll start with work experience. This could be, I'd never envisaged actually sharing an embarrassing photograph of me when I was at school, but this could either be really bad or really good idea. But I thought it was actually, I just put it on there because it's really important for us, everybody, to remember what they were like at 12 or 13 or 14. I was really lucky at my school. We had a careers advisor, and he was able to work with all of our school to kind of put together what we liked doing, what our interests were, and what subjects we were actually good at. So for me, we kind of threw together the subjects that I liked or were good at, and an architect came up. So when I was at school, I was lucky enough to go on work experience to an architect. And for me, it was just I know what David touched on, sometimes that doesn't work. But for me, it was just such a positive experience. And it was one that almost changed the direction of my life. That when I was there for that week work experience, for me, it was a do or die. If this was to either confirm or completely ruin my life plans of pursuing architecture. And I was lucky enough that the guy that I went to work experience with was just brilliant. He showed me everything about what he'd done. And I came away just with a really positive experience. But that's something that I've wanted to do as well. So whenever I joined Voight's, their idea of work experience was to put a pupil in a corner and get them to build a cardboard model. So when I first started, when I had my first work experience pupil that I was asked to look after, I really wanted to change that and to come up with a program, someone that would really get an insight into what we do, but would actually it wouldn't just be a work shadowing, it would actually give them something to do. Because I thought, for someone to shadow me, to just simply watch what I do, I would get bored of myself probably after 10 minutes. So we developed a program of what they do during the week, and sometimes they get to work on live projects. So that's really, really good, and hopefully it's of benefit. But every time I go to schools, I couldn't stress enough how important work experience is, of getting kids out there to various industries. And I often tell some of them that, look, if you're thinking about a couple of things, get work experience in everything, because then that will actually help you hopefully see. But an awful lot of emphasis is placed on employers. It's really up to employers to engage with people like DIW, schools, the local councils to actually offer something. Because it could be, fabulous workplaces and industries that people or kids never get to know about because they never get the opportunity to get in. So I couldn't stress it enough from a kid's perspective and from an employer's perspective. So next one I just want to speak about very quickly is living spaces. So I knew one of the teachers at Moneyfeith High School that knew I was an architect, and they had this eco house project that they ran for S2 pupils, where basically they got several of their faculties together, so art, science, and maths, where they would work on this. They would split them into little teams, and they would work on designing an eco house over a couple of months, and they'd have to come up with the design, come up with their teams and what their roles were. But my job was then coming in at the end and judging, helping to judge and giving them feedback. And it's just, for me, it's just such a great event. I love it. It doesn't necessarily have to be designing an eco house, but just as an event that they've run now for over 10 years, to bring so many different faculties together, the fact that the kids break up into teams, some of them that have presented to me have introduced themselves with their various job titles, and it's just brilliant. And again, it teaches, I think Hilary maybe touched on this presentation skills. Some kids are really, really nervous, but this gives them just a tiny little taster, and hopefully in a non-threatening environment, although having adults judge your work can be quite scary for 12 and 13-year-olds. So, but yeah, that's been a brilliant project to engage with. Next one was the school careers events. So we've been asked by some of the local schools in Moneyfeith and Arbroath to really just put up a stand. So they host these careers evenings for pupils and parents to come along and just find out loads of stuff on different trades and different careers and lots of different things. So I was blown away by a few of these, just the amount of different industries that are there. And hopefully, I mean, it gives us a chance to talk about what our job is like, but it also lets the pupils just have a little showcase to see what these are. So we've really enjoyed being involved with those. The next one was, we were also asked to do some talks to local schools. So a few of the primary schools in Arbroath that we've been around. And I really love this. I love it's not just for me getting out of the office for a day, but it's really just showing lots of pictures about stuff that we do, but also talking to the kids. It's not just telling them about being an architect, what's important, working as a team, never giving up, things like this that we can try and inspire in kids at an early age. That has then, and apologies for this terrible photo, but this was a snapshot taken of a video. We were asked, this year, lockdown has affected so many different things. And we weren't able to get into schools, and I think I had 2 or 3 bookings in various schools to come and give a talk during lockdown, and some of these cancelled straight away, and it never went ahead. But one of them had asked me, would I actually produce a quick 5-minute video about what I do, how I got into my job, and what would be a useful advice for school pupils. So I reluctantly agreed to do this, and prepared a little video, a very, very amateur video in my house that we sent to the school, and it went down really well. They really appreciated it. I think they shared it with lots of their different schools and different areas. So just getting, I would encourage any employer, if you are asked to do this, or get in touch. I'm sure Hilary would love to receive lots of these from people. But I'd really just encourage you to do this. Kids these days watch lots of TV and YouTube videos, so watching a little clip of someone speaking about their industry might be the thing that actually ignites a passion, or ignites an interest for them. So that was really good. I'll just finish off with the Superhero House project. So this has been just such a brilliant thing to be involved in recently. I'll not bore everyone with all the text, but it really started off, I'll flick back, sorry. It started off with, I saw a picture in the local paper about, at the start of lockdown, from Carnoustie High School, that they had won some house competition that they had developed, or that they'd entered. So it was really just a simple email to the school congratulating them on the competition, and I would love to actually come and see it someday post-lockdown. So this then moved into getting a meeting with Anne-Marie, who I think's here in the webinar, Russell Brown from Carnoustie High School, and then Hilary became involved. But it was really, we were inspired by, there's an architect in Aberdeen who run a similar, a design competition or a project, but they were really concerned, like us, about, you know, the fact that they used to offer lots of work experience to pupils, and that really can't happen during lockdown because we're all working from various kitchens and bedrooms and things. So we tried to think about what can we do during lockdown? How can we replicate some little mini project to encourage kids to get involved with, or to try and replicate some type of work experience? Or so really we came up with this fun project for kids at the end of the year, was to design a house for a superhero. So they can use any medium they want. They could use Lego, hand drawings, cardboard models. So this launched in Angus in the last 2 weeks of school. And for us, it was quite important that I'd heard lots of people, you know, kids were finding it really tricky to engage with schoolwork, with lots of things. So the idea of this was to just give them something fun at the end of the year to get involved with, but it would have some of the key skills, creativity, initiative, creative thinking, and focus. So it wasn't just a kind of whimsical project for designing stuff for superheroes. That it did have at the heart of it the idea to try and promote some of these key skills. So you can see some of the images. I'll run through very quickly just some of the entries we got. It was just such a privilege to be involved in the judging of these and seeing how engaged some of the kids were in both Angus, and we actually ended up running it in Dundee as well, just due to the level of support and the inquiries that we had when we run the Angus version. You know, can we run this in Dundee? So we decided to run it in Dundee as well. But I mean, these are some of the pictures of the winners. I'll just run through very quickly. But I was just blown away by by all of the creations, the designs, the creativity. It was just fabulous. So so this one was like an eco house that she designed with a working shower. So some of the other ones, Minecraft, we were blown away by I think from parents and from adults, it can be maybe an idea that Minecraft, it's just a game, you know, for kids to mess around with. But some of the designs that we saw from Minecraft and the creativity, I mean, this house is something, if it was built, you would see in architecture magazines. It was fabulous. And just even some of the level of the 3D modeling that we got. We had also put a little extra promotion that whoever won the overall competition, we would actually turn their designs into a 3D model. But some of the entries that we got, I was really scared because I thought some of them done a better 3D model than I maybe could have. So, but this is an idea. This maybe shows you the picture of, this was the overall winner's Lego model that we then turned into a 3D render. So what we're going to do is, once lockdown lifts and we're allowed to, we're going to bring the winner in to view the 3D model that we've created for them, but also just talking to them about the process. You know, what does an architect do? How do we work? And how do we turn a design brief into a design and a real model? So that's something I'm really looking forward to in a few months' time, hopefully, to getting the winning pupil and their family in to basically just see what we do. Some more pictures of some of the Dundee winners. It's on display if you do want to go and see it. There's some details on our Facebook page that you can go and look at some of the videos and the entries, but it's actually on display in the Overgate for the next 2 weeks. So that's really good if you're in the Overgate. And I think that I had 5 kind of final thoughts of what we can do as an industry. When I say we, it's kind of businesses and anybody really. But for me, 5 things I can think to finish of how we can inspire the next generation is engage them. So that means for employers actually engaging with developing young workforce, with engaging with local schools, engaging with anywhere we're asked to provide work experience or a work day or anything really as employers. I would encourage everybody to do that, because the benefit that could be to a young person sometimes is incredible. For me, that having that week's work experience completely affirmed my life choice of what I thought. I didn't really know what I wanted, but that really pushed me on the path. And that leads it really to the second one is, as an industry and as schools, maybe we need to show the paths. I think DIY ran a thing recently where they show there's one size fits all, or there's no one path. There's so many different paths to industry, to work, to trades, to everything. So, but a lot of the difficulty is a lot of the kids don't know what the paths are. They think maybe the only way to anything is either going to university or just leaving school and getting a job. There's so many other pathways, and it's up to us and it's up to schools to help show kids what the different paths are. The third one is to impress. We really need to put ourselves, again, that embarrassing photograph I had of put ourselves back in the shoes of a 12, 13, 14-year-old. What would benefit them? What would encourage them? What would impress them? If we can't come across as enthusiastic and passionate about what we do, then there's no way a teenager is going to be impressed about what we do. So that's obviously hard for some industries, but everyone can find a passion in what they do. So it's up to us to impress the next generation. I guess that leads maybe on to the fourth one is encourage. Anytime we get the opportunity to either speak to young people, to have work experience with young people, our biggest mantra is just to encourage them, to try and help them and to give them loads of encouragement. Because our job is to kind of, I don't need to create lots of different architects for everybody that comes in our doors for work experience, but what I can do is try and encourage them in following whatever path that they think that they are interested in. So encouraging young people is so important. And the fifth one is to employ them. That's hard for us as a very small company. That's really hard to be able in the position to regularly employ young people. But I would encourage every business, small or large, to try and find opportunities, even if it's part-time or flexible. I mean, we've had lots of applications where people have offered, look, can I come into your office for half a day during the summer, once, every week, just to kind of see what you do or just help you as a business. I don't need paid for that. I just want to kind of get that experience. And that's the person that sent us that letter. We were just so impressed by the just the request and the initiative that he was showing. But we ended up offering him work experience after that, following that summer. So if businesses can find a way to employ part-time or shadowing or small stuff, I would really encourage them to do that. And there are lots of grants, and like Hilary touched on, the apprenticeships and things like that businesses should really try to look at to see if they can engage in. So hopefully that's been helpful, of a little thing of what we can do, not just us as architects, but as all businesses, what we can do to inspire the next generation. So I think that's all of me. So I'll maybe stop sharing and hand back over to Sarah, I think, who will explain what we're doing next.
Yep, thanks very much, Jonathan. So I have allocated people into 2 breakout rooms. So Hilary will be hosting one and Marta will be hosting the other. Marta's also from the DYW team. So in a second, I'm going to open up all the rooms. You'll get a notification that says something along the lines of, you have been allocated breakout room 1. If you can just accept that invitation, head off into the breakout room, and Hilary and Marta will then host the kind of wider discussion on what you currently do with young people, what you think the opportunities in your business might be, and what barriers you also see as well. So we'll have around about 15 minutes for that, and then we'll bring everybody back into the main room. Hilary and Marta will just give us a little bit of an update on what each group discussed, and then we'll round up. Okay, so I'll open the breakout rooms just now. And I'll see you all soon. Okay, wonderful. What I'll do is I'll hand over to Marta and Hilary, who will just do a little bit of kind of overview on what each group spoke about. Marta, if you want to go first, then Hilary, you can probably follow up and then just do the close as well once you've finished.
Perfect. I was just saying there, I don't know if everyone in my group heard me before the countdown was going to 5, 4, 3, but we didn't get a chance to go around everybody. But it was just to say that if anybody had any questions, then obviously all the DYW staff contact details will be made available afterwards, so you can chat to us on a one-to-one basis if you want to discuss your ideas a bit more. But we had some good discussion from the people that we did get a chance to speak to, and we had quite a lot of people who kind of worked more on a strategic level rather than maybe directly within a business. We had some of the barriers that were discussed that seemed to be kind of across the board was obviously a lot were COVID related, and there was a lot about how to engage with young people at the moment online. Obviously there's a confidence issue when you come into things like this with Zoom chats and team chats and Skype chats, and you know, trying to engage the young people, particularly for Anita who works for the voluntary organisation, and try and encourage young people to volunteer. Was to try and get their actual engagement to begin with. She can't lure them in with the pizza and, you know, the kind of solidarity of having their, the companionship of having their mates with them. So it was ways that we could look at to try and encourage them and make them not feel so intimidated by coming onto a Zoom chat and still being involved, because they work on some great projects. You know, for like they've got youth ambassador projects that run in schools to encourage more people to volunteer, but they've also got a project, an intergenerational one that goes into care homes and kind of keeps up relationships with elderly people. So obviously that's encouraging a lot of different skills that may not think directly of when you're working, but obviously a lot of skills in terms of care, you know, all that kind of thing are still being picked up when the young people are engaging in these projects. One of the other barriers that we spoke about was getting parents to be engaged, because obviously, like David touched on it, and it was just, you know, they are the biggest influencers in their children's lives, so it's ways that we can try and engage with parents as well. And I know DYW, we run a Scottish biggest parents evening event, you know, and in past, you know, there's been great turnouts, but in other times has not been so great. So it's just how we try and keep that kind of engagement with the parents as well, because ultimately they are going to be influencing a lot more than they think in their children's future and what career path they tend to take. And also there was a good point made from John, who works for Dundee City Council, about the kind of, there's lots of support out there, but sometimes the barrier to it could actually be that it's a bit overwhelming, it's a bit complex. So how can we simplify where all this support is coming from? Like, lots of great things are happening, but for young people and parents who are trying to get this support for their young people, they might be put off just by the kind of how to navigate this complex system and where to go for what support. So maybe there's a slight issue in oversaturation, but we're really just simplifying the kind of directory, if you will, of this is the list of all the things that are available to support young people. But yeah, we never got much of a chance to talk about to talk to the rest of the team, so I'm sorry about that. That was us.
Okay, and I'll just very quickly say from our group, yeah, the businesses that were there all seem keen to do something, but it's just finding what suits your business. And one of the things we spoke about was about SMEs and the difficulty when there's only a couple of you in the office. What can you do to get over that? But Dan's come up with a really good idea of sort of doing a shared thing with some of the different businesses in Water's Edge, so that's something we can follow up on. So yeah, from the businesses here, we will follow up with you in the feedback survey that goes out. If you're interested in having another chat with us about what you could do, just fill in your details there, and Sarah will pass that on to us and we can contact you for a chat. But just to follow up from this, and we'll maybe get this put out in the email as well, there's a few things that you can do. Jonathan mentioned a video. Now at the moment, in conjunction with Anne-Marie Angus Council and Bernardo's Works, we are producing a number of videos that we're going to put out through our social media and put on our website, showing all different careers available across the area. So if you're interested in doing that, get in touch with us, and we've got a little template that you can use as a video. If you don't want to talk on camera, we can do it as a poster type thing instead, with just a photograph of you, but we really like the videos because it's really interactive. You could do that. There's the hashtag No Wrong Path campaign. We'll put out some information about that, and that's on the 4th of August. I think Jonathan mentioned that as well, and it is just to demonstrate. You can stand there with a poster saying, this is what I did when I left school, this is what I'm doing now, and just shows that very few people's career paths are like that. They all kind of go like that a little bit. I know mine does. and it just goes to show that there's no right or wrong way of getting to where you want to be. So you could do that. What Dave said about all the asks that he had, if you think about what we're doing, there are 16 secondary schools across Dundee and Angus, so everything needs one. We have to replicate that another 15 times. So really, the more businesses we can get on board to say they're willing to help, even if it's just going along a careers event or whatever, anything big or small, we can find something for you to do. Don't you worry about that. Competitions, like Jonathan's superhero competition, if you've got any ideas about that. Follow us on social media, because all the campaigns and things you'll find out. Melissa, who's here today, she manages our social media. So we've got Twitter, we've got Facebook, we've got LinkedIn. You can find out everything we're up to on there. But please just keep up a conversation with us and come with any ideas, great or small, or even if it's like, I want to do something, but I don't know what, we can have a chat about that and find something that'll suit you. And I think that's really all what I want to say, really. Thank you very much for attending. That's it.
Thanks very much, Hilary. And thanks, Jonathan and Dave, as well, for your both presentations. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Have a good day, everyone.